Um, it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a drag down, uh, kicking and screaming, yelling and fighting, scratching and clawing fight of a game. And that's if Brunson plays or not. From my perspective, if I'm honest with you, the New York Knicks probably play better with Jalen Brunson off the floor as a team, as a collective. Jalen Brunson being out towards the end of this season before the playoffs uh, really allowed everyone, including Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff, to see that they can win without Brunson. And as they figured out, I believe it was in game 3 in Detroit, that when Jalen Brunson is facilitating, the rest of the guys can carry the offensive load. Karl Anthony Towns has shown he can carry part of the load. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. And so when we think about the New York Knicks coming into Detroit, coming into our building, you have to understand that they're not coming in scared. They're not coming in worried. They've already won twice in Detroit. And the Pistons are still figuring out how to win in the playoffs altogether. All that's to say is when you think about the game that's going to be played, it's going to be a team that is desperate to move on from this series. A team that is fighting against the clock because they have a Boston Celtics waiting for them. Jalen Brunson, their star, their all NBA performer, is dealing with knee and ankle issues. And if I'm honest with you, if I'm the Knicks, I sit him. I rest Brunson for game 6. There's no reason to potentially re aggravate or worsen what he's already dealing with. That kept him out a considerable time of the fourth quarter. And he still looked hobbled. There's something to be said for a team that has not just its back up against the wall like the Pistons do, but also, you know, when an animal is most dangerous is when they're injured, is when they're hobbled, when they're weakened. And the New York Knicks are weakened right now. Their star, their leader, Jalen Brunson, is hurt. And to an extent, their backs are against the wall because they don't want to have to go to a game 7. They're not a deep enough team to really survive going to a game 7 and then transferring right into an intense series against a waiting Boston Celtics. They need to wrap this series up now, which means that I fully expect the New York Knicks to come out guns blazing. I fully expect them to be extremely aggressive, to continue to be physical, to continue to work every veteran savvy angle that they can find. And what it's going to take for the Detroit Pistons to overcome that is not just going to be an all hands on deck. They are going to have to play utilizing every lesson that they have learned throughout this playoff series so far. They're going to have to, in real time, put it all together, as they say. A couple of things that I want to point out right off top is they have to play with pace. They can't slow it down. Cade Cunningham cannot walk the ball up. In fact, we need to get Cade off the ball early and often. That's a good strategy for this team, for this roster. Asar Thompson needs to run more point and needs to continue to insert himself. I began to call him X-Men. There was someone who left a comment that said he's the X Factor, and I said, man, that sounds like his new nickname, the X-Men, because he's able to show up in, man, these kind of superhuman ways all over the court, flying all over, playing full court defense, grabbing rebounds, offensive tip ins, putbacks, alley oop dunks, diving from the weak side, steal breakaway dunks. He's able to do just about everything. He's the Pistons X-Men, the guy who just does a little bit of everything that you need him to do, and does so in almost a superhuman way because there's very few athletes in the NBA at his size who can do what he does. All that's to say is they're going to have to play with pace. They're going to have to allow other guys to run the show. Dennis Schroeder has to come out aggressive offensively, meaning he has to be looking for his shot just as much as he's facilitating. They're going to desperately need Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. to be knocking down shots. We don't need them to get back to the regular season. We know three-point shooting drops off every playoff for just about every team. But can they be respectable? Can they be dependable to knock down the open shots they're supposed to knock down? Tobias Harris, I think we have recognized that as much as Karl Anthony Towns may have an advantage over him, he has an advantage over Karl Anthony Towns. And I think that this is the one thing that I have not yet been seeing as much as I would like, is for the Detroit Pistons to do a better job of hunting mismatches. Too many times I see Cade or Tobias Harris trying to score on OG Anunoby. Too many times I see guys trying to get Malik Beasley or Tim Hardaway Jr. a three-point look with Mikal Bridges guarding him, who has a 4-inch height advantage and a 7'2" wingspan to boot. We're trying to score in ways that are difficult. In the playoffs, it's about playing smarter, not harder. This is the first time you called Tobias Harris cold his whole career. Wheezy, I feel you. But I've always had love for Tobias Harris coming from Tennessee, getting drafted by the Magic, going to the Pistons, going to the Clippers, because I've always saw what he is and what he's not. He has so much game for somebody that's 6'9". We almost expect him to be able to do more. But he's not that guy. And that's okay. As long as you're okay with understanding what his ceiling is, you're always going to be satisfied with his game. He's going to play within his role, within his position. He's not going to do too much. However, in this series, he has a clear mismatch. Pretty much anybody but OG Anunoby is a mismatch for Tobias Harris. He's stronger than Mikal Bridges. He's more agile and quicker laterally than Karl Anthony Towns or Mitchell Robinson. And of course, he has a size advantage up against McBride, Brunson, and the rest. What I think the Pistons need to do a better job of, though, is exploiting these mismatches where guys know what to do. On one possession, I see Cade Cunningham have a mismatch, but Asar Thompson is right next to him instead of on the opposite side, where he can be in that weak side corner and he can dive in. You have to know how you can expand and shrink the floor when you're playing offense. If you're not a shooter, you shouldn't be next to the guy who's trying to look to attack the basket. You should be away from them so that when they're trying to help off of you, you can dive in behind them and be wide open in the middle of the paint. These are little adjustments that the Detroit Pistons are going to have to make in droves in this game. Game 6 is going to be hell. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Not only do you have the expectations, but you also have a team that knows how to close out a series versus a team that's learning. What I will say is that Cade Cunningham has struggled the last couple of games and is due for a bounce back. He's due for a big game. Malik Beasley looked like he was turning a corner in the last game. He looked like he was figuring it out. He looked like he was finding his footing and his rhythm. He could be due for a big game. Asar Thompson is feeling himself, and I think he's going to draw a lot more attention from the Knicks, which is going to help to open up the floor But the player that I'm really banking on, once again, is Jalen Duren. Staying out of foul trouble, but also staying aggressive offensively. He does a great job of hitting the offensive boards, but I want him attacking Karl Anthony Towns and putting pressure on him as well. Karl Anthony Towns is by no means even an average defender. He is a below average defender, as defenders go, as he's been his entire career. He is somebody that we have to make sure that we are keeping pressure on. Because when he gets into foul trouble, he's out the game. When he's in foul trouble, he's less aggressive. When he's in foul trouble, he gets into his own head. And right now, he's their leading scorer. He's their best offensive threat on the court. If we're going to make sure that we can take control of game 6 from beginning to end, which, make no mistake about it, we're going to need to. We do not want to allow the Knicks to get up in game 6 because they're going to dump all their energy into game 6, whether Jalen Brunson plays or not. Deuce McBride is going to be a better defender. He's going to look to get it going, knock down threes, get to his spots. We're going to have to cover the floor. We're going to have to worry about guys getting more minutes off the bench, like a campaign, who they're going to see if they can get loose early. The Detroit Pistons cannot let up, not even for a little bit. Not even for a little bit in this game. I'm actually, if I'm honest with you, I'm a little worried about game 6. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried because if Jalen Brunson doesn't play, the New York Knicks have an excuse of why they lost. So to an extent, they don't have as much pressure because they're playing with kind of what they say, house money. They're not expected to win. They already kind of got it in the bag. Hey, we're going back to New York no matter what for game 7 if we lose. And you're also coming into a young team's home court where they're going to be under pressure, back against the wall, down 3-2, expected to win. And there's a chance that the Pistons let up. There's a chance that the Pistons look at them and say, hey, you know what? Jalen Brunson's not playing. We got this. And they take him for granted. You start seeing a more aggressive Mikal Bridges, a more aggressive Josh Hart, more aggressive OG Anunoby. Guys coming off the bench, looking to play that much more. We are going to have our work cut out for us. Now, something else that I would like to see as an adjustment is I want to see JB Bickerstaff give Ron Holland a little bit more trust. I know he struggled a little bit to find his footing in game 5. It was a must win. I get it. I understand. But something I noticed. Ron Holland helps us to play with pace. Does a great job of getting out in transition. Ron Holland is one of the few players on this team who can get downhill to the rim and either create for himself or others. But lastly, and most importantly, he's one of the few perimeter defenders who have enough size to contain OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. I watched Mikal Bridges drive to the paint, got to about 8 feet from the rim against Ron Holland. He never even looked at the rim. He never even tried to score on him. He just kept dribbling to the other side. And then I saw 2 minutes later, Ron Holland was subbed out for Tim Hardaway Jr., who's 6'4". And then I saw him drive to the middle of the paint, pull up over the top from about 10 feet out, nothing but net. There is a significant difference in terms of what a defender or what an offensive player sees. Sorry, got interrupted there. There's a huge difference between what an offensive player sees when they drive to the basket and they have a 6'3" Malik Beasley or a 6'4" Tim Hardaway Jr. or a 6'2" Dennis Schroeder versus when they see a 6'7" Ron Holland, who's physical, athletic, quick, and has length. versus Cade Cunningham or even Asar Thompson. You see, this game is going to be won on defense, and this is something that I've been saying about the Detroit Pistons, is that JB Bickerstaff is going to have to switch. He cannot continue to go small against the Knicks, expecting the offense to be what carries them. This is a defensive team, and they're a defensive team that's at their best when they're creating turnovers and getting out in transition. And considering that the shooting has been on struggle, and it has, you're going to have to double down on your ability to create offense through your defense. Playing Ron Holland is a central component of that. He's got to get minutes in the first half and the second half. You can't just play him 3-4 minutes. He doesn't give you something, and then you go right back to Tim Hardaway Jr., who's struggling almost just as much. But like I said, Game 6 is going to be hard as hell. Game 6 is going to be a fight. It's going to be an all-out war because New York, they're coming to take Game 6. They are not letting off the gas. They are not going in thinking, oh, well, we got Game 7. They're going to come in like, nah, we about to sleep this team in their place and move on to Boston. Let me get to some of these comments real quick. Let me see. I just want everyone to go at Brunson. Yeah, when Tobias is on him, I need Tobias to attack. When they try to hide Brunson in the corner, they need to backdoor screen and cut. Yeah, Asar only. Facts. Facts. That's a great point, Weezy. That is a great point. And I think that that's something that I've really struggled to see is the Pistons really hunt out those mismatches. They need to be hunting them. They need to hunt them every single time. And I think that that's a developmental step that Cade Cunningham and some of these younger guys have to figure out. But Dennis Schroeder should know better. Ghostkeeper was good, man. I want to see Ron Holland with a longer leash so bad. That's literally what I just said, man. Ron Holland, he gives you something even if he's not scoring. If he's not hurting you out there, let him continue to play through it. Because I think when he figures it out, when he's able to play well, it completely reshapes the landscape of the game. When Ron Holland is playing well, it changes everything. It changes everything. We still haven't seen what a Cade Cunningham, Ron Holland, Asar Thompson type of lineup could look like. Right? There's so many possibilities out there. And I get you don't want to really do a lot of experimenting in the playoffs, but at the same time, you have to go with what's working. And what's working is defense. What's working is the ability to get out in transition. What's good, sports time? What's working is your ability to contain on the perimeter, get defensive stops, and make this game a grind of a game. A grind. Chiefy Holiday was good, man. Ron is my guy, but he was playing like a Fontecchio last game. I don't think so. I don't think so. He had a couple plays not go his way, but I saw him play great defense. I saw him get out in transition. I see that he's quick to the ball. He's doing a lot of things that, as they say, don't always show up in the stat sheet. Fontecchio at times just disappears altogether, and he's a liability. Big difference. King of Judah. Beasley and Hardaway got to give us something. This might be it in Game 6, plus Brunson might be out. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm already. I mean, I've probably been lower on Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. all season, despite the season that they've had. They both had, I would say, career years. And yet I've consistently said, I'm actually okay with not bringing back either of them. And I know that that's hard to kind of stomach because, we love this team. But the reality is They're both undersized perimeter defenders who, when their shot is not going, they're a liability. And they're highly one dimensional. They don't play make for others. They're not facilitators. They're not lockdown defenders. They're not very versatile. They get out in transition every once in a while, but it's rare. The reality is they're very limited. Now, I said earlier, I at least need them to be able to knock down the wide open shots. Give me the wide open shots. Give me the stuff that I expect you to make. And to be honest, I actually need you to stay more in your game, in the strategy that pretty much every other playoff team has deployed when you've been on the court with them. You're a shooter. Be aggressive. Be aggressive as a shooter. Get out in transition. Make the extra play. Do all these little things. Rebound. God, please grab a rebound. You too. But we don't need you to try to be Reggie Miller. We don't need you to be Rip Hamilton. You're not. And that's okay. You're not Joe Dumars. That's okay. We don't need you to be that guy. What we need you to be is reliable, consistent, and show up defensively, making the little plays. Let me get to some of these other comments. Ghost Keeper, Ron and Nassar would terrorize. I think we've been saying that. I've been saying that since last summer. I got videos. You can go back, check in the annals after he was drafted. I said those two on the perimeter are going to terrorize the league. JB hasn't been able to experiment as much with it because Asar was out, with the blood clots. We all know that. All this to say is that Ron Holland deserves a longer leash. He deserves an opportunity to say, like, if you're playing great defense, like he was, rebounding, hitting the glass, getting on loose balls, getting out in transition. If you're doing those things, I'm going to keep you on the floor. Even if you're not scoring it, because that's not what his role is right now on the team. Is to be a utility guy, an energy guy. And if he's providing that, if he's at least keeping the New York Knicks to a 0 when Cade is off the floor, when Asar is off the floor, which is when he's needed the most. If he's able to do that, great job. Give him a 6-minute stint in the first half. Give him another 6 to 7 minute stint in the second half. Give him a chance to continue to bring that energy and keep pressure on the New York Knicks to run up and down with these guys and to keep track of these younger, more athletic wings who have more size, and let them burn themselves out. So when Cade comes back in, when Asar comes back in, they have that much more of an advantage. Sports Times. JB has to do better with his challenges, and then to get a tech after is a choice. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why every team doesn't have an assistant coach on the side who has an iPad, who the moment you think something's challengeable, they're looking back through the play. Worst case scenario, you call timeout, which I don't know if there's a rule against doing that, but you should be able to call timeout, let them take a look, and then challenge. Let them say yes or no. Thumbs down, thumbs up, right? Let that be someone else's job. You don't need to be Johnny on the spot. You don't need to have to figure out everything. That's what your staff is for. Now, I'm not the biggest Luke Walton fan. I don't think he's much of a coach at all. And I'm in the Bay Area. I seen him with the Warriors. Then I saw him with the Lakers. Then I saw him with the Kings. I don't know why he's that next guy on the bench for you. I don't. Go and get you a veteran coach. Go and bring in a Budenholzer. Go and bring in, someone else who could be on that bench. Get you a player. You need to upgrade that coaching staff for sure. But I get it. You were walking into Detroit. Nobody wanted a 14-win team job. So I get it. Hopefully you can upgrade there. King of Judah. You're right. I wouldn't bring either of them back. What do you think about Giannis to Detroit? No, it's too soon. What about Paolo Banchero? He's free. Well, Paolo's not going anywhere. And I doubt Giannis is going anywhere. If Giannis is going anywhere, he's going to LA. He's going across the country. He's going to franchises that have a little bit more stability organizationally and also winning wise. And it's an upgrade whether he wins or not. He's able to uh, expand his brand, get into some movies, stuff like that. LA knows how to treat its superstar players. I would love to see him with the Lakers. He could play that Kevin Garnett on the Boston Celtics role as a utility guy, playing great defense, leading the defense, rebounding, blocking shots, steals, and being that third wheel, second to third wheel, uh, and just looking great. Yeah, but I don't think he comes to Detroit. I don't think I don't think Milwaukee sends him to Detroit. Like that's inside their division. Nobody sends a superstar within their division. Um, exactly. Lakers have it. Boston. Why don't we have it? Yeah, facts. Um, Sports Times. I agree. We need better assistant coaches. Someone who can offer offensive creativity. I think Jared Jack and Fred Vincent are pretty cool though. I like those two. I like those two. Luke Walton. No, no. If anything, I'd go and try and get Mike Woodson or not Mike Woodson. What's his name? The dude from the Sacramento Kings who just got fired. I might bring in. I mean, I doubt Budenholzer, but I would love Budenholzer there. Um, Even a Frank Vogel, right? Like bring in some veteran coaches who have won at a high level, and let them really become teachers who can play bigger roles. Because I think the Pistons are going to need that. Mike Brown. Thank you, Chiefy. Appreciate that. Smash the like button for me. We got 14 people in here, too. Uh, all this to say is, I think that's the next step for this team next year. Game 6 is going to be a dog fight. It's going to be a dog fight. King of Judah, true. Uh, that didn't think about that. He would be nice with the Warriors as well. I could see Giannis with the Warriors, too. But I just don't see them being able to figure out that money unless they send Draymond Green, um, which I think they would do. But then they would have to package someone like Jonathan Kaminga, Moses Moody. Like they would be able to put together a hell of a package if I'm honest. If I'm honest, they could put together a hell of a package to get Giannis and pair him with Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. That could be an amazing trio, and actually that could be a great package. That could be a great package. They might even be able to get some first round draft picks out of the Warriors too. But Draymond, Kaminga, um, the problem is because they're in that second apron, they're not able to take back money, and I don't think they're able to do a sign and trade either. So it's going to be tricky to make the money work. I think they could figure it out, um, but we'll see. Ray Floyd, who do you see as the four of the future? The four of the future. So I wasn't gonna do this video just yet. I have a bunch of guys that I've been looking at. I think Bobby Clinton is worth a look, but he's looking more like a three than a four. I definitely see Ron Holland moving to the two, coming off the bench, playing that 2-3 role instead of that 3-4 type of role. Um, I think he improves his shooting. Marcus Sasser slides in as that point guard off the bench. Jaden Ivey is there. But I think they need more size on the perimeter because they don't have great height on the interior. So I think Ron Holland slides to the two next season coming off the bench. Bobby Clement might be at the three or the four coming in off the bench. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think Bobby Clement is somebody that has the ability to be who they're needing, but we'll see. A few guys that I also like. I've been on record saying Jabari Smith Jr. would be everything this team needs at the four. I don't know if they can afford his price tag, but if they can get him for 18 mil, I think other teams might be willing to offer him more. But if they can get him for 18, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like I said, this is the worst this Pistons team is going to be for the foreseeable future. Only going to continue to rise. They're only going to continue to win more, be in the playoffs, have deep runs. I think they're going to be in that contention window for a championship. Yes, a championship in 2 years. In 2 years. Now, of course, knock on wood, inshallah. no injuries. If Ivy was on this team right now, I think they cakewalk through the Knicks. If Ivy didn't get injured, they probably ended up as the third seed. That's how good this team is. And Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren barely scratching the surface. Ron Holland barely getting his feet wet. This team has so much potential for the future. Some other guys I like at the four. Jabari Walker, coming out of Portland. I think he's got a lot of uh, bench role type of power forward that could be a perfect Piston. He's physical, plays tough. He can knock down threes. He rebounds. He scores on the interior. He can attack a little bit off the bounce. Great kind of utility guy. I think Brian Grant back in the day. He's just one of those guys that you just want in tough games with you. I like him a lot. Um, some other guys people have thrown out there like Santi Aldama. You know, I'm neither here nor there for the future when it comes to Santi. I think this team needs physical, defensive minded guys, especially next to Jalen Duren. Sports Time, I saw someone post on the offensive defense and net rating, and the starting lineup has a defensive rating of 84.6. That is crazy. Bro, I keep telling you, man, Asar Thompson, X Men Thompson, that's what I'm calling him. When he's on the floor, he does so much for us defensively. Finally, they started allowing him to switch off of Brunson. So he's not solely on Brunson because I think that minimizes his impact when he's only on Brunson. I like to see him all over the court defensively. I like him to be that X Factor guy, hence the nickname X Man. You heard it here first, where he's all over the place, where he's weak side shot blocking, he's defensive rebounding, he's stepping into passing lanes, he's trapping, he's helping on defense, he's digging in and recovering, he's rotating out to shooters, right? He's closing out hard and then containing on a drive. When was it OB Dream we could trade for Chris Dunn? I like Chris Dunn. I like Chris Dunn, but I think he's still under contract. Um, but it's to say, when we're allowing Asar Thompson to be all over the place, I think that's when he's at his best. That's when he's at his best defensively, and his impact, it cannot be understated. Look, Tobias Harris is a smart defender. Jalen Duren is our cleanup on the boards. Cade Cunningham is a good defender, especially when he's next to Asar Thompson. I think he levels up his defensive game. And Tim Hardaway Jr., he does his best. He does his best to cover. And I think Asar Thompson covers a lot of this team's mistakes defensively, which is why I'm not shocked that they have such a high defensive rating in that starting lineup. I think it gets even better when they get Jaden Ivey back. Though I would like to see, if I'm honest with you, I would like to see more lineups with Dennis Schroeder. I would actually like to see, if I'm honest with you, I would like to see Dennis Schroeder be the first substitute to come in the game. I would be curious what that looks like. Dennis Schroeder comes in the game for Tim Hardaway Jr., first sub, sixth man, and he begins to play that intense on-ball defense. And we see if they can turn the Knicks over a few times, get into passing lanes, be a lockdown defensive unit. I know you might be concerned about shooting, but I think Tobias Harris shoots it well enough. Cade, hey, you know what? This unit is out there for defense, not for shooting. Because if we're honest, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley have been struggling to shoot. So why not go with the defensive unit? That should be the calling card of this team moving forward. Let me get to some of these other comments here. Chiefy Holiday. Clinton definitely worth a look. Played good in the G League. Tolu as well. Both those guys can play. Jabari would be a perfect fit as well. I like Tolu as well. Tolu Smith is nice. He's got great size. He's like another Jalen Duren, if I'm honest. And I think having that type of size will be essential Paul Reed may end up walking at the end of the season. I don't think that they need to force getting him back. Oh, what's going on, Team Savant? It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Uh, I think what ends up happening this season, most of the guys that are free agents are going to end up walking. Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, Malik Beasley, Paul Reed, probably all end up walking. Lindy Waters, it would be cool to bring him back. Cade Cunningham's teammate back in back at Oklahoma State. I think he shoots really well. He has more positional size, which we desperately need at 6'6", 6'7". And he's a little bit older too. He's 27 years old. Played for other quality teams, Golden State Warriors, Oklahoma City Thunder. I think he's just a winner. He makes good plays. He's a heady player. I think he's more than good enough to take those lesser minutes in a smaller role that'll be left over after Ivy returns. And especially as we see Ron Holland play more at the two as well, coming in off the bench. And I think he'll just give us a lot of depth. I don't think we need to overpay any free agent at this point. I would rather have us bet on Bobby Clinton's progress, maybe bring in a Jabari Walker. That way we have some insurance. We still got Simone Fontecchio. We still got Ron Holland developing. And we still got Marcus Sasser. You think about the progress that'll come from that starting lineup of Cade, Ivy, and Asar and Duran. You now have another deep team that has more positional size, more athleticism, more physicality, and more experience. I really don't think we need to bring back anybody, if I'm honest, except for maybe Lindy Waters. And he would be cheap. Let me see. Ray Floyd, my man, was good. People forget Ivy is a closer and a clutch player. Thank you, bro. Thank you. He had 2 game winners. Come on now. He has multiple game winners this season alone. Facts. Ghost Keeper. It would be a dream if we could get Chris Dunn. We already talked about that. I would love him too. Nice player at about 6'4", 6'9" wingspan. He can guard multiple positions. Really smart player. And he's actually starting to get a nice 3-point jump shot. But like I said, I want to say he's still under contract for the Clippers. Yeah, he's still under contract for 2 more years after the season. So I doubt they let him go. And it's a real team-friendly contract too. It's a real team-friendly contract. Let me see. Chiefy Holiday, my man, Asar didn't have a full offseason because of the blood clots. I'm expecting a huge jump in his shooting. Can we get Porzingis? No, we don't need Porzingis. Porzingis is a starter, bro. We got Duran. If we can get Duran and Ivy re-signed this offseason for under $25 million each, great. I'm not for breaking up this core. I don't want to mess with this chemistry. They got great energy. Porzingis is injury prone. We all know that. I'm keeping them together. I'm keeping them together all the way. But definitely, Asar Thompson, I do see a jump coming in his 3-point shooting. I think he's going to be able to knock down at least 1 or 2 a game next season. I would not be shocked at all. Not to mention, just more of a greater feel and confidence for his own game, for him to begin to put it all together. I think next season when we begin to see Asar Thompson put it all together, I think we start seeing the jump shooting. We start seeing that drive across the lane. He gets it to the paint and just raises up and shoots over the top of everyone. His post game, I think, improves, posting up smaller guards. I think we begin to see Asar Thompson get to the rack better and finish around the rim. I think we begin to see a lot of subtle changes that are going to make a big difference. Knocking down a shot or 2 from 3, hitting more free throws, post game, interior finishing, pull up jump shot, right? These things that we've already seen flashes of, I think he just fine tunes. I think he gets it down smooth. And playing with Cade and Ivy, the court's going to be wide open. It's going to be wide open for him. So I do think he's going to have a big year next year. Ray Floyd, another thing to remember is Trajan didn't build this team for the playoffs. We were just better than everyone thought. Facts. Nobody expected us to be here. And those who did, you might have just kind of been like, yeah, throwing that out. You didn't put no money on it. You didn't put no money on it. Show me a receipt that you said this was going to be a number 6 seed playoff team, that you put money on it. It's one thing to say it for fun. It's another thing to say it and put money on it. But I do think this is a playoff team for the foreseeable future. Like I said, in 2 years, we're going to be in contention. In 2 years. Not next season. The year after, potentially. The year after, we're going to be knocking on the door. That third year, we're going to kick the door down. Facts. Team Savant, same year. Chiefy Holiday. I also wouldn't mind bringing Drummond back for a bench role too. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I mean, who's going to be our third string big? But you got Tolu Smith. You got other young guys. I would rather bring in a veteran who doesn't mind not playing. I like Steven Adams. I like guys like that. But, they've been able to do a lot already. I don't think Andre Drummond needs to come back. I think Isaiah Stewart, but you know what? I am curious about Isaiah Stewart's knee. I think that knee is far worse. Far worse. I wouldn't be shocked if he's getting surgery in the offseason, which is unfortunate. Let me see here. Frankie Blanco, what's good, man? What's good? New York will be fine. Come on, we all know it's inevitable. Knicks stars won't have 2 bad games in a row, and Asar not dropping 20. Sure, Frankie. But tell me this, and I said at the beginning of this live that the New York Knicks were going to come guns blazing in Game 6. They weren't going to be afraid at all. They already beat the Pistons twice, and they've proven at the end of the regular season that they can win without Jalen Brunson. In fact, I think sometimes when Jalen Brunson's not out there, they play more as a team. I can see Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns having big games, carrying them. Josh Hart doing what he does. Deuce McBride being good enough. Campaign or somebody off the bench, Landry Shamet, having a unforeseen 7 to 9 points, and the Knicks being able to close it out. I can see that. I can also see the Pistons forcing a Game 7. The Knicks are built to win, but let's also be clear. The Knicks are also on a short turnaround. They played a lot of minutes last game. Those starters played a lot of minutes. I think they're slowly but surely getting more and more exposed. I think the Pistons are figuring out how to take advantage of Karl-Anthony Towns defensively. I think there's still a lot of room for growth for the Detroit Pistons. They haven't played their best ball at all. They haven't combined a good game from Cade and even average shooting from Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. So when I look at this team, the Detroit Pistons could easily play up to the level they've been playing all season, and then they would beat the Knicks, especially without a Jalen Brunson closer. So it could go either way. It really depends upon who is locked in and can impose their will early, and then maintain control of the game. And I've been going through points of what the Pistons need to do. Dennis Schroeder has to be aggressive offensively. Jalen Duren has to stay aggressive. Cade Cunningham has to have a good game, stay in the flow and not force a lot of stuff. Asar has to be the X-Man. Tobias Harris has to stay aggressive. And these are all things within their abilities. But can they do it? Will they do it? Will they do it? Because let's be clear, most playoff teams have not seen Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley as worthy, reliable playoff performers, which is why they've been dealt and traded so often. That's why they're free agents at the end of this year. So let's keep that. There's a good chance they don't show up, right? Sports Times. I don't know if you talked about it already, but what did you think of the small ball lineup? I mean, I hate our small ball line. I don't think small ball works for us. When it's Schroeder, Beasley, and Tim Hardaway Jr., I think Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, they eat. They eat and they get themselves going. So even if we're scoring, they're getting into an offensive rhythm and a flow when those guys are out there collectively. I would prefer less Malik Beasley if he doesn't have it going, more Ron Holland for defense and the ability to get out in transition. Oh my bad, I meant small ball as in Asar. Oh, Sports Times. Okay, so you're saying Asar Thompson what at the 5? And Tobias at the 4-5. I wouldn't mind that if we're big everywhere else. If we're big everywhere else. If we got Cade, if we got Tobias, maybe even Ron Holland, and we have size everywhere else, then I don't mind, because then it's like, because if we're honest, Mitchell Robinson, he's been killing us on the boards. He's been absolutely murdering us. Paul Reed can't do anything with him. It's rough out there. But I don't think Mitchell Robinson is so imposing that we can't get away with just running him off the court, getting out in transition. So I could see JB going to that some more. But we'll see. We'll see. But hey, y'all, I'm excited. Game 6 is tomorrow. I appreciate y'all jumping on this live with me. Smash the like button. I'll get to this one last comment, and then we hopping off. Chiefy Holiday. New York can play well, and it won't matter if the Pistons play how they're capable of. True, because we haven't played well offensively for 48 minutes, and if Beasley makes shots, it's a wrap, all with no Ivy and no Isaiah Stewart. But let's be clear, like I said a moment ago, most playoff teams have not been high on Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. Most playoff teams have them as an end-of-the-bench guy in the playoffs. So there's potentially a good reason why they don't expect those two to show up, because they have the type of series that they've had. All in all, the point was made, and you're right. If they show up, along with Cade and everyone else, yeah, we could blow the Knicks out the water. But that's a big if. But as always, it's your man 100 Grand, Ross with the Rock Never Stops. Keeping it real with y'all, keeping it a band. If you enjoyed the live, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.